Hey y'all, welcome back to this channel. As a follow-up to my last video, I want to help people out who are just starting nails or who just want to do their own nails at home. I want to educate y'all on the proper way to do things because there's a lot of people doing things that are wrong. Whether it be people who just started out doing nails, whether it be people who learned from YouTube, and I'm not knocking YouTube, I'm on YouTube giving you all the correct information. Whether it be people who are licensed and still doing the wrong things. I just want to let y'all know exactly what state board tells you to do. And I'm in Georgia. So I really think it's the same. I'm not gonna lie. I really think this specific thing that I'm about to talk about is the same across the whole United States, if not the whole world. Because my lady is very worldwide, very known. This is a textbook here. And y'all, a lot of people do prep with sanding bands. A lot of people do. I'm not trying to, tell you that sanding bands are, like, you can't use them ever. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is you don't use sanding bands on a natural nail. And to back that up, because people love to act confused, even people who went to nail school, even people that have their license, love to act confused. I'm going to read this section of the book that specifically tells a nail tech wanting to learn nails not to use sanding bands on a natural nail. So y'all, I went to school last year. So this is a very updated book. This is page 237. I'm trying to find this is 2023. This is 2023. I'm going to show y'all the section of the book where it tells y'all you cannot use sanding bands on a natural nail because people love to act confused. People love to act like you can. And I'm going to explain why they act like that once I read this, okay? Trying to find the page again. So 237. Sanding and arbor bands. This is the part of the book where it talks about electric filing and all the types of different bits and what they can be used for. So sanding and arbor bands. These are one-use only paper bits that slip onto the mandrel. These right here are sanding bands. This is a mandrel. This is a sanding band. Okay, these bits are made of abrasive paper, just like hand files, and cannot be disinfected. Hence why they are one-use only. Sanding bands generally are used for shortening and shaping the top surface of the nails or removing a gel sealant from enhancement products. And this is where it gets real interesting, okay? Especially given the fact that a lot of people do use them on the natural nails. These bits should not be used on the natural nail, as they can easily cause damage to the nails. They generate very high heat and high amounts of dust. The dust particles from arbor bands are very small, entering your breathing zone, and stay airborne longer than heavy particles. For safety reasons, you should not use these without a dust extractor system, which is this, which many people don't use with sanding bands. Not only should you not use them on the natural nail. You should use them with a dust extractor system for safety reasons. Okay, now that we've got that covered, let me tell y'all the reason that people use sanding bands on the natural nail. The reason for this is you're supposed to use diamond bits. You're supposed to use diamond bits. But the thing is, with diamond bits, these are diamond bits. They're made with real diamonds. So if you're trying to shop for diamond bits, there are synthetic diamond bits and then there are real diamond bits. You're going to want the real diamond bits because it will help with your prep. As opposed to a sanding band, which I do have. I do own sanding bands. I don't really use them because not only does it not really work on the natural nail, I find that carbide bits work better for shaping enhancements. And I also find, or what I was told by my teacher in nail school, that because these are paper and you put them on the nail, it vibrates really high. Like the book was saying, it makes like a lot of dust, a lot of heat, and it shakes a lot. So that's why I don't use them, but I do own them. I've owned this for like 5 years and it's still very full. I have all course. So like I have all grit level. The reason people use sanding bands on the natural nail is because it's easier to prep. You don't need as much technique to use a sanding band as you would a diamond bit. Do y'all understand this? Because diamond bits, yes, they prep the nail, but they're not as abrasive as a sanding band. Sanding bands are really, really abrasive. So no matter what you do, if you take it on the natural nail, it's going to prep the nail. It's going to take many layers off of your nail. If you already have thin nails, don't even pick up a sanding band. Even if you have thick nails, after you use the sanding band, your nails are going to be thin because it takes off many layers as opposed to the diamond bit, which takes off few layers. So with the diamond bit, you actually have to have technique and prepping in order for your retention to still be good. With sanding bands, since it takes off many layers, and this is the thing, a lot of the nail salons that use MMA, which is the bad product, which is the bad monomer. This is EMA monomer. You're supposed to use EMA monomer. MMA monomer is used for dentures, for bone repairs, for things like that. It's really hard. It doesn't soak off in acetone. As opposed to EMA, it's not as hard and it does soak off in acetone. But the thing is also with MMA, in order for it to stick, you have to really file down the nails. And I feel like this is where sanding bands on the nails started, when MMA started. There wasn't always EMA. MMA came before EMA. People used to always use MMA. It didn't used to be, a big health concern back in the day when nails first started, artificial nails first started being a thing. But once, scientists started discovering things and then started using it for teeth, for dentures, for bones, for things like that, they're in their head thinking, hey, this shouldn't be on the nails. So then MMA got banned, right? But people still use MMA, which is why I feel like people still use sanding bands, because sanding bands coincides with MMA, as diamond bits coincides with EMA. All these things you can learn in nail school. If you have a licensed tech and you've been going to a licensed tech for a long time, and you're noticing she used sanding bands, ask her why, or him why. Ask and say, hey, I've been doing some research and I found out that sanding bands can't be used on a natural nail. It's not supposed to be used on a natural nail. Do you have diamond bits? Because the reason a lot of people are still using sanding bands is for retention, so that they can maintain 3, 4, 5 weeks retention. But it's not going to help your nails in any way. It's actually damaging your nails. So yeah, diamond bits are the way to go. That's just the only way to go. Yes, it's going to be harder to develop the technique that makes your sets last 3, 4, 5 weeks, but at least your nails will be healthy. At least you're not damaging yourself. And there's a lot of people that say, oh, it's just the technique. You can use sanding band, it's just the technique. The technique people are talking about with sanding bands is not to hurt the client. That's the technique they're talking about. So when people are talking about technique and sanding bands, the technique they're talking about is the technique that doesn't hurt the client. When I'm talking about technique with diamond bits, I'm talking about technique that ensures retention. You see how those are two different techniques? You know what I mean? Okay. So I'm just going to show y'all how to prep, because this is what this video is about. I just wanted to give that quick disclaimer, because I already know there's going to be people in my comments talking about sanding bands and how you can use it and everything. Don't argue with me. Argue with your nail school instructor, argue with state board, and argue with the textbook. That's all you need to argue with, because at the end of the day, I'm just opening the textbook and giving you the correct information. If you don't want to take that information, that's on you. If you fuck up somebody's nails, that's on you. If you know how to use sanding bands without it hurting the client, that's on you. But I'm just telling you the correct information. So when you start out, first thing you're going to want to do is clean your nail. Clean your nail bed. So you're going to want to wash your hands. And then after you wash your hands, you're going to take some alcohol. And you're just going to spritz that on the nail. I'm going to change the angle in a second. I'm just telling you all the pre-prep. And then you're going to want to invest in some lint-free wipes. I would not suggest these ones because these ones always give out lint. I think because they're heart-shaped, I would just, get some regular square lint-free. But my colors are black and pink, I guess. So, but I really think my colors are black and white. So you're just going to wipe off your nail. And this is when you can start prepping for real. I would say to really invest in a good e-file, especially for, prep, but also for shaping. You're not going to want a cheap e-file. Cheap e-files are not going to do it for you. They're either going to do it for you and break or never do it for you. So this one I really recommend. This one is not that expensive. I think it's like $60. It's the one that my nail school instructor had. So I just bought it. But let me flip the angle and I'm going to show y'all how to actually prep your nail for enhancements so that you can have retention. Okay, y'all. So you're going to take your e-file. When you use your e-file, you're going to take a ball diamond bit. This is the first one you take. And And you're not going to push it all the way in like this. You're going to want to have some allowance so that you can easily get around the nail. And you're always going to use a pinky or this finger or whatever finger is more comfortable for you as a fulcrum method so that you can easily balance your e-file. When you're prepping, your e-file does not need to be very high. And it needs to be on forward, unless you're going the opposite way. This way is forward. This way is reverse. Again, this way is forward. This way is reverse. Before you switch from forward to reverse, say we're in forward right now. Before you hit that button, turn it off, then flip to reverse. But we're in forward right now. And like I was saying, you don't need your e-file to be very high when you're prepping because it's on your natural nail. It's not on the enhancement. So you're going to want it to be pretty low. I have a dial, but some people have numbers. So maybe like 3 if you have numbers. When you take your cuticle bit, the cuticle bit is for, the ball bit is for the cuticles. I call it a cuticle bit because that's what I use it for. You're just going to go around. And you're going to get all that dead skin off. You see how it's turning white? It's because there's dead skin right there. You're going to get all of that off. And don't worry, as opposed to a sanding band, y'all, don't worry about it getting right here. This does not hurt me. This is not hurting me. If you did this with a sanding band, it would hurt. So just make sure you're getting all of that off. Probably going to want to go over it a few times to make sure it's all off.
I still have a little bit of leftover acrylic on my nails, but I just got a little lazy when I was sucking off my nails. So I'm going to just onto nails. And when you use your e-file, you don't really press down. You just lightly go over, because if you press down or you leave the e-file in one spot for too long, you'll cause a ring of fire. That's the only way to cause a ring of fire, is by either leaving it in one area for too long or pressing down too hard. So make sure you have a very light press, but hard enough for it to get the cuticle off.
So this is what your nail should look like after you prep with the ball bit. I'm just going to do the other hand really quickly because I am actually doing my nails today. Okay. Very important step that a lot of people forget, y'all. You have to dust. You have to. You don't want any debris on your nail, especially when you're about to lay your acrylic. If there's debris under your acrylic, the acrylic is going to lift upwards because it's not sticking to anything. It's sticking to dust. So make sure you dust your nails between every step. This simple dusting here can take your retention from 2 days to a week, from a week to 2 weeks, from 2 weeks to 3 weeks, I promise you. This step goes a long way. After you do that, I don't usually do this step because as you can see, I don't really have much like cuticles like up. But if you have like hangnails and things like that, and like cuticles like along the sides, like around here, around this area, you're going to clip those off at this step. But I really don't have much, so I usually skip this step for myself. But I did see one hangnail, so I'm going to clip that off. Okay, then next you're going to want to take a barrel bit. I used to use a large barrel bit. I used to use this one here. But I found that the skinny one actually works way better. So, and then with all your diamond bits, y'all, you're going to want it to be fine grit when you're using it on the natural nail. Fine or medium, but don't go to coarse, y'all. Do not go to coarse. Again, you're going to put your e-file not too high. You don't want it to be turned all the way up here. You want it very slow. And just like you would do a sanding band, except this one is a lot more work. Using a diamond bit, you just have to put more work in. That's all it really is. You're just going to go across the nail until the nail is very dusty. And don't go over more than one area, like the same area, like too much, you know. You can probably go over the same area like 3 or 4 times before you can move on to the next area. And then if that area that you were just on needs more work, then you can come back to it. But you don't want to, you know, cause too much heat on your nail because it'll burn you. Like, you'll feel the heat. It won't burn you, but you'll feel the heat.
Okay, you want your nails to look very much like this, like you just used a sanding band. Very, very dusty. And it's going to do that to all of your nails. And make sure to go back over the cuticle area with this bit, just to ensure, because the cuticle area is the most important area, because it is where the product sticks. It is where lifting happens. So you're going to make sure this cuticle area is really good. But you just want your nail to look really, really dusty. See how I have to go over it multiple times for it to be dusty like this? With a sanding band, you just have to go over it once and it's going to achieve this. It's going to achieve more than this, actually. That is why we don't use the sanding bands, because the sanding bands just take the nail down too much. With a diamond bit, you can control how much nail you are taking away.
And this is how your nail should look after you've used your barrel bit. This is how they should look. I'm going to do the other hand. Okay. Very important steps, y'all. Very important steps. Next thing you're going to do is dust your nails. You don't want any dust on the nails. If there's dust on your nails, the acrylic is not going to stick to your nails. So you have to make sure that you dust off your nails, because we're about to apply the tips. And even though it's just the tips, you still don't want any dust in between the tip and your nail, because if there's dust here, this is going to lift up. So you need to make sure that there's no dust on your nail. Also, another very important step. This is going to sound redundant. Okay, why did I just file all my nails if I'm just going to put alcohol on it? The reason we filed the nails is because we wanted all the oil, all the dead skin off. We just wanted clean nails, not to make it look dusty. That's not why we dusted the nails, not for it to look dusty. This isn't for aesthetics. This is for purposes. So after that, after you've dusted your nails off, usually you're going to use alcohol. But I've found that Swipe from Young Nails, which is like basically like alcohol, like it cleanses the nail plates and works as pre-prep. Basically like alcohol. I found that this works really good for retention. So I'm going to use this as alcohol. If you don't have this, just use alcohol. And I'm going to really clean the nails. I'm going to get in all of the little crevices and I'm going to really clean all that dust off, because having that dust there is not a good thing. It's not. So you're going to clean all of that off. I'm just cleaning my hands too, because why not? Now this is where you apply your tips. Very simple, very easy. Make sure your tip is not too big, not too wide, that it goes from sidewall to sidewall. Make sure it goes from sidewall to sidewall without you pressing it down. You see how this goes from one side of my nail to the other side of my nail. This is a size 7. Now, if I were to pick up a size 6, or a size 8, actually. See, if I were to pick up a size 8, I gotta press that junk down. I have to press it down in order for it to go from sidewall to sidewall. That's not what you want. If you have to press it down in order for it to stick, the glue, most likely, is just glue. It's just going to lift up. Even under the acrylic, it's going to lift up. It's going to pop your nail off. So that's not what you want. You want it to just lay flat on the nail and go from sidewall to sidewall. If you need to take a file and file some of the edges off because it's a little too big, do that. But don't take a tip that's too small and put it on the nail. Don't do that. The nail's going to come off. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to dust. This is like one of the most important steps is dusting. And you usually do it when you just see a lot of dust or in between steps. That's when you usually do it. And I like to dust the back of the hand off too, even on clients, because the dust just gets everywhere. And this is the part where I would switch out my dental bib, which is also called a table protector. But it's really a dental bib. And I'm about to start laying my acrylic, and I don't want any dust particles in my acrylic. I'm going to make a short on how to prep and lay your acrylic, but I do want to show y'all the steps. So you're going to use either alcohol. I really love Swipe, y'all. If y'all have not invested in Swipe, like, I stopped using it for a minute. I did, and my retention wasn't the best when I stopped using it. But I don't know why I stopped using it, because I have this big bottle. Like, might as well use it, right? So one day I was like, might as well use it. And I used it and my retention improved so much better. But if you don't have Swipe, use alcohol. But I would use Swipe, wipe off all of the nails, get into those little creaks and crevices. And then that is when you go in with dehydrator. Dehydrator will dehydrate the nails. Yes, we already added or we already prepped the nail with the diamond bits to get all the oil off. This will make sure everything is off. You need dehydrator. Do not directly go into primer. You need dehydrator. Don't matter what brand, you need dehydrator. But I love Valentino. And then you're going to go in with your primer. I use 2 primers. You don't have to, but I do. I just like to be on brand. So I use Young Nails primer as well as Valentino. And then that is when you can start laying your acrylic. I would say for dehydrating and prepping, either go, if you're really new at this, either go one by one, dehydrating and priming, or go hand by hand. I go hand by hand because I am now skilled enough to be able to go as quickly enough for the product not to just evaporate off the nail. If you're still pretty slow at acrylic, go nail by nail. But yeah, y'all, that is how you prep the nails professionally for enhancements. Whether it be builder gel, whether it be acrylic, whether it be poly gel. Obviously, if you're using builder gel, if you're using poly gel, you're going to use something different other than primer. You're always going to dehydrate. If you're using builder gel, this is going to be your primer. This is called LED UV bonder if you're using builder gel. I've never tried poly gel before, so I don't know what the primer is for that, but it's not the same as acrylic. I know that for sure. I'm about to finish my nails. If you want to see the result, it'll be on shorts. If you want to see also how to lay acrylic, I'm not the best at it, so I'm not going to put it in a whole video. It'll be on shorts, and yeah. Okay, y'all. Bye. Thank y'all for watching.